Everyone on TikTok, by the way.
Yeah.
Sorry.
There we go.
watching us
now
be
you can
crap.
see.
Okay, here we are. And now we are live on Coin Bureau Clips as well. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good day to all of you. As you can see, it's not just me today, folks. I am joined by none other than Daniel Krupka, the head of research here at Coin Bureau, the giga-brained, giga-chad head of research. Dan is Canadian, but lives currently in Prague. But he is here visiting us in Dubai just for this week, and I have really had to twist his arm to get him to join us today. Dan, thanks for joining us, man.
No, thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to it. I think because we did I think the last time we kind of did something like this was at the Coin Bureau event in London.
That's right.
Yeah. We did a panel discussion, 2 of them actually. Yeah.
And
I'm sure there'll be many more to come. But anyway,
absolutely. So, guys, okay. So, Dan and I are going to be co-hosting the live stream today. I want to get Dan's thoughts on kind of everything, really. Obviously, you know what we're all going to talk about. The FTX and Alameda story is still kind of dominating the headlines quite a bit, but we want to hear from you as well. I'm going to give you a quick kind of rundown on some of the things we're going to cover today. No prizes for guessing what's going to be first. I also need to give you a warning about Dan. Now, this is a man who does so much research. Like, this guy listens to up-teen podcasts, videos every single day. And in order to do it all, he listens to them all on 2x speed, which means he also talks at 2x speed as well.
Yeah. When I get into it, you'll hear it'll be really quick. So just brace yourself. Prepare.
Okay. So when Dan's talking, you guys have got to pay attention. When it's me talking, you can just zone out as usual. You know, talk amongst yourselves, whatever it is you need to do. But Dan, there's some great nuggets of alpha going to be dropping from Dan's lips. But you've got to keep up, guys. Okay, Dan, the research man. Exactly. So you're saying Dan is the man, Andre? That's exactly what I'm saying.
Occasionally. Yeah.
Okay, people asking how about the future of Solana? Yeah, we're going to talk about that in a few minutes.
Yeah.
Because Dan has been looking into Solana pretty deeply over the last couple of days. So we'll get to that as well. And is Dan your bro?
Like literal, like blood brother?
I mean, he's my bro.
Isn't there like a thing you do where you cut your hand and you do a handshake? Was that in like a movie or something? Am I going a little too far here?
Yeah, I think there was some sort of thing like
maybe
that.
At the next Coin Bureau Live we'll do that for entertainment purposes.
Well, no, that's not a visible ticket, isn't it? Let's hope he's forgotten about that by the next one. Okay, and can we have the Coin Bureau view on the mining situation now? Yeah, I think we haven't really talked about mining the last couple of days, but we do need to discuss that, because I think I was talking about that on the last stream as well. That is something we need to be keeping a close eye on. So we will try and talk about mining a bit as well. I hope, by the way, that you like our new studio. Are you James Bond? Me or him? I think he might be.
No, I think the British.
So this is our kind of new studio setup. We've got the dude in the background here. We've got all this other stuff going on. And for those of you joining us on Coin Bureau Clips, we're also trying out some new streaming software as well. So what I'm hoping is that this is going to let me share my screen with you, and you can see some of the god awful stuff that's on my computer. So the dude abides. Yes, he does. Yes, he does. Let's just check in with the dude. There's an NFT in the background. No way. We're not NFTing him just yet. Yeah. And of course, sorry, people on TikTok, I'm afraid I'm not going to be able to share my screen with you, but you can just get unadulterated us for the next hour or so. Okay. So we're going to be with you for the next kind of 55 minutes. Let's, Dan, I tell you what, why don't we start off and take a look at the chart, shall we?
Yeah, why not?
Let me see if I can share my screen.
Oh my!
This is where things get tricky. Share screen, tabs. There we go. Do you want CMC or CoinGecko?
Well, don't we have the BTC from Binance there? We can actually take a look at the actual charts there. Yeah, there you go. It's at the bottom. There you go.
Okay, so let's have a look at BTC versus USDT on Binance.
Yeah.
Dan, do you want to talk us through what you're seeing here?
Yeah. I mean, it's so if you guys have noticed, like in our weekly crypto reviews, like at the end there, guy's not like a super big TA guy, he's more like a buy and hodl, you know. But I and funny enough, I don't really consider myself to be much of a trader either, but I do kind of like, you know, keep an eye on what's going on day to day, week to week. So for those listening in on TikTok, so we basically have the Bitcoin USDT price on Binance, and only reason USDT being is that, at least in I don't know if this is the case anymore, but for a long time, of course, USDT is the most liquid pair against Bitcoin. So you know, anyway, it's a little minor thing, but anyway, yeah. So what we're looking at now is, of course, have Bollinger Bands enabled as well as RSI. I feel like these are really just two really simple tools. You know, it's you don't need to go super crazy with the, you know, all the Fibonacci sequences and all that stuff. Which, you know, it has its time and its place, but yeah, unless you're like a hardcore trader, which neither of us is, then then you don't really need that. But you can see on the daily, like we're you know, we wicked, and that's the really nice thing, honestly, about the Bollinger and about the RSI, and something, sorry, that I was going to say that we mentioned at the end of our weekly crypto reviews, that we go through, of course, all the altcoins. Well, Benjamin Cowan might be taking over that part. Let's not spoil too much yet.
Oh yeah.
But no. So we, like, you know, with the Bollinger Bands and the RSI there. So you can see basically that we dipped, you know, to like 15K, and that was out of the Bollinger range on the daily. And you can even see on the RSI down there that we dropped way down to like 15. And basically when you see that, it means that it's, you know, chances are that it's quite, you know, safe to buy that dip. But well, first of all, obviously, like, you know, not financial advice, not trading advice, but especially these days when prices are that volatile, I think looking at the daily, looking at anything less honestly than like the weekly or even like the monthly, you're just gonna get wrecked, man. Like, because you're gonna think it's the dip. And it's actually a similar story. Is that you know, we're looking at the weekly here now, and you can see that it's literally the same thing, that we're really low on the RSI, you know, falling beneath or below the Bollinger Bands there, and that basically tells you this is probably like a local-ish kind of low. But of course, it depends on the volatility, right? You can see that when prices are more volatile, then the width of that Bollinger Band opens up, and that leaves you vulnerable to falling lower. But the chart that I've been watching the closest is the monthly, and this is something that's been mentioned. And here is kind of, well, let me try and zoom in here as much as oh, Jesus. All right. Yeah, I'm okay. Let's, there we go. Okay. So here you can see on the monthly, and this is, you know, again, not to be too big on patterns or whatever, but you can kind of clearly see that we've broken, just for those listening on TikTok. If you like, literally, if you're at home, if you have another device, pull up the, you know, BTC, USD, USDT, whatever you prefer, look at the monthly, throw on the Bollinger Bands and the RSI, and you can see that, you know, we're very much in a strong, you know, have been a strong downtrend, not surprisingly, you know, everything kind of has been. But if you can see, especially on the Bollinger, is that we're still kind of not, like, we could still kind of go a little bit lower. And if you were to kind of measure it, like look at that pattern over the last few months, it's kind of like a bear flag that's broken down. Then, you know, we're going 10K down from around 20K, which would be roughly 10K, and that's something that, you know, you and I have been, you know, in some videos, like we've been calling for different reasons. There's technical reasons, there's whatever, even like in terms of hash rate and stuff like that, which maybe we can get into the mining. But I think actually maybe we can break the news. I don't know if you guys have seen now with Solana and the exchange. So you know, maybe, I mean, we both just heard about this, so maybe Guy. Yeah, like we can.
Let me read out this tweet. This is from Woo Blockchain on Twitter. It's a very good account to follow if you're not. Let me just stop sharing. Are you done with the TA?
Yeah. I mean, it's nothing too crazy. Like, I'm not.
Let's get back so we can see everyone's beautiful comments. Okay. So this was from Woo Blockchain on Twitter. Binance announced that the deposits of USDC Sol and USDT Sol have been temporarily suspended. OKX said it will delist USDC Solana and USDT Solana token network and will no longer support depositing or withdrawal of the corresponding crypto.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really rough. And you know, you guys know that we have a Solana, or, you know, Guy's got a Solana update going out in like shortly after this live stream will be done.
That's the plan.
Unfortunately, can't be fit in because this news literally just came out, you know, a few minutes ago, and it's pretty bad. Yeah, I mean, it's but I think, and we were discussing this before the live stream, that I can kind of understand like a little bit of the logic behind it, because you don't know. You know, bear in mind, guys, that we don't know how many validators FTX or Alameda were running. And one thing that I found in the research, and something that we mentioned in the video, is that there was a huge drop off in validators around the time that that basically this whole FTX Alameda situation happened. But it seems that that was mostly due to this Hetzner. If you guys remember, there was like a cloud service provider, and like 1,000 Solana validators went offline, which is basically like half of them, which is nuts. But the kind of scarier part is that if the validator drop off was just due to that, then are we basically waiting for another, like, in a weird way, second leg lower in Solana's validator count because of FTX and Alameda? That's going to be, I think, I mean, now that's basically on the table, I think, especially, you know, why else would they, I don't know, Guy, like, what do you think? Why else do you think that they would be delisting or, you know, suspending these deposits and withdrawals? Because
I mean, it's obviously the difficulties of running a Solana validator node, you know, the hardware requirements and stuff. I mean, that, you know, potentially all these companies that are exposed to the contagion.
Right. That's a good point.
We could be seeing a lot more. So it's,
oh man.
I mean, when we were
Christ.
putting together the Solana video over the last couple of days, I mean, we've been looking at the bearish cases, of which, you know, unfortunately there are a lot.
Yeah.
And we were looking at the kind of bullish case for Solana as well. Now, I don't want to give too much away because you've got to watch the video. That's what you've got to do, folks, which is going to, as Dan says, that video is going to be out after this live stream over on our main YouTube channel. But yeah, I mean, we did find some glimmers of light for Solana, didn't we? It's not all doom and gloom, but I mean, let's face it, Sol is going lower from here, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, everything is, at least in my opinion, I think everything's going to be going lower. Are you going to share a screen?
I'm going to try. I'm going to share my screen again. I just want to check the Sol price. So let's just get good old CoinGecko up. There we are.
Yeah.
Okay, Solana. $13.18. I mean, look.
Well, it just crashed. Yeah, just crashed.
Yeah, crashing. Obviously, on the news that these exchanges are delisting USDC and USDT on Solana.
Yeah.
So, yeah, look, folks. A lot of people were asking me in the last stream, the one we did last week, about Solana, and I think a lot of your questions are going to be answered in that video. But you know, we can't sugarcoat it, folks. It is. Solana is getting gutted by this whole FTX and Alameda situation for obvious reasons, really. So, I mean, yeah, we're definitely seeing it dropping a lot lower from here. But as I say, we did find some glimmers of light, and that relates to basically kind of projects in Solana's ecosystem.
Exactly. Yeah. If those projects stick on Solana, then I think Solana could still have lots of potential, and you'll find out what those projects are if you watch the video. So don't,
if you watch the video.
Yeah.
There we are, guys.
But maybe Guy, we have because speaking of this contagion, like that's a really good point. You know, saying that, you know, we might, all these entities that are, you know, forget about FTX and Alameda running validators on Solana. What about all these other, like you were saying, and it's not cheap, it's pretty expensive. And and if there's a huge fallout, you know, if there's like a loss of, even potentially like a loss of confidence in Solana from these people that were backing FTX and Alameda, now they're all pulling they're going to be pulling their validators offline. And you know, the exchanges are just kind of front running that. That would be really scary. But it does tie into this, you know, this FTX contagion that we continue to see. And I know that you have a few notes about that.
Let's talk about all the contagion from FTX at the moment, because you know the shit show rumbles on. So I think the latest news kind of on that is Genesis Global. Obviously, more halting withdrawals. We also saw concerns around Gemini as well. Now, this seemed to relate to Gemini's Earn product, didn't it?
Yeah.
This didn't seem to be Gemini, the exchange itself.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was certainly, when I was looking through Twitter earlier, I was seeing comments saying, you know, withdrawals from Gemini Earn, users were being told they could take up to 10 days.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you guys have comments in the stream about what you guys have been experiencing, because I know that, like, Guy was telling me that a bunch of you have been commenting about Gemini. Like, is it Gemini in general, or is it just Gemini Earn? You know, I think so far it's just like issues with Gemini Earn, but like there was $500 million of withdrawals from Gemini. I think, like the general Gemini. I'm pretty sure that's from the general Gemini. And and that's, you know, that's pretty crazy. I mean, I'm sure the Winklevoss twins, I mean, it's a US exchange, so I'm sure they're probably okay, but it's just, you know, how much contagion, you know, you never know what's going on behind the scenes. Unfortunately, that's where we're at, right? So.
Yeah. And of course, I mean, exchanges everywhere, US exchanges, exchanges based in all other jurisdictions are going to I mean, they're all going to have experienced sort of huge withdrawals over the last week or so.
Yeah. Sorry, I noticed someone said they withdrew. Someone here they withdrew from Gemini with no issues, but but Gemini Earn might be the one where it's and I think it also depends on the amount, right? If you're withdrawing a lot, then they might try and slow you down with KYC, and this is something we warned about. Remember in the videos about cashing out of crypto, you always have to be careful and be aware that the exchanges don't want you to take that money out. It's the same thing. It's almost like a bank, they're going to come up with every excuse they can under the sun, right? You need KYC, show us your address, show us your phone number, show us everything. We'll be back to you in 5 days, and 10 days, and 30 days, or whatever, right?
It's crazy. And funnily enough, I was having lunch with someone today, and we were talking about all these exchange withdrawals. And he said, now I'm not going to name the 2 exchanges involved because, well, maybe I should. I don't know. He was saying he got hit when he tried to withdraw from 2 US-based exchanges.
Really?
He got hit with massive KYC. Now, one of them, probably the most well-known one, let him withdraw and then do the KYC. And the other one just... he was having questions. He said pretty much they asked me for everything other than the blood test.
Really?
And he had a lot of crypto stuck on there this whole time.
Yeah.
And he said it was a really stressful experience, obviously.
Yeah, I can
and he said, as soon as all that KYC was done, as soon as he'd submitted, proof of earnings and all this sort of stuff, all this really intrusive stuff, he said, I just took everything off there.
Yeah.
He said, I moved it all to other places, to other wallets, which was, probably wise in the grand scheme of things. But I mean, yeah, it's.
Well, we found I don't know if you guys have seen this Dave Portnoy. If maybe we don't have to watch the whole thing, but just somewhere around the halfway mark. I don't know if it's just me, but this Barstool Sports guy has been getting wrecked on everything. I mean, he did buy into SafeMoon, so that's his own. That's his own.
I think I brought this again. Apologies to people on TikTok who can't share this, but perhaps you'll hear this coming through the speakers. Okay, here we are. So this is Dave Portnoy. I've stopped it at the particular part of the video.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't have any money in FTX. I'm lucky. I was in Gemini. But if I lost $1 million,
or maybe it's a little too quiet.
Did people get that? Hang on.
Drag this fucking clown out of there. I didn't have any money in FTX. I'm lucky. I was in Gemini. But if I lost $1 million,
so for those who didn't hear, it's Dave Portnoy saying I thankfully thankfully my money was not on FTX. It's in Gemini, and of course now Gemini is having issues.
Dave, if you're watching, I feel you, man. You just can't get a break. People saying yes, they can hear it.
Yeah, that's good. That's
good. I forgot to do the sort of mic checks and stuff. Are we coming through fine? How are we coming through on Twitter? On TikTok? Sorry, I'm worried that I'm neglecting the folks on TikTok as well. But make a noise if you can't hear us. Okay. And I forgot to check in with where everyone is tuning in from, because as you know, we have people from all over the world, which is appropriate because we have our staff here at Coin Bureau are from all over the world. We have Brits, Canadians, Russians, South Africans, everyone. So it's good to have a nice international following. Some people ask, some Johnny Come Latelys are asking who is the guest. For those of you just joining us, this is Daniel Krupke. He is our head of research at the Coin Bureau, a man who just produces so much good alpha for us. So much of this information that you've got from Coin Bureau, Dan has dug it up for you. He is a vital part of the team here. And as I say, he's visiting us in Dubai for this week. So make the most of him, folks. I mean, we could maybe dial you in from Prague for future live streams if you want to join remotely.
Yeah. If the internet is good enough, if we have energy, if we have power.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. So we've got people from South Africa, from Texas, from Zurich. Nice to meet some of the staff of Coin Bureau. Yes, you're right, David. Yeah, you're right. They are, by and large, lovely people with excellent crypto knowledge, peerless personal hygiene, and very good manners as well. They're a beautiful bunch. So I mean, they're also generally quite a camera shy bunch. I mean, some of them aren't really fit to be seen, but I'm going to try. I'm going to try over the next few weeks. You know, now that we've got this nice studio, you know, now that we've got this live sign that stays up on the wall. Yeah, that's right. It stays up there, folks. Now that we've got all these bells and whistles, I'm going to try and persuade some of my Coin Bureau colleagues to join me. You know, I might have to kind of drag them in and restrain them, but yeah, it would be good to hear from them, because they're some very interesting people, most of them.
Yeah, most of them. All right, what else?
Okay, what else are we going to talk about? Right, so we've talked about, we've been talking about all this contagion from FTX. Obviously, Genesis suspending withdrawals, and this web of companies, isn't it? Because Genesis, all this kind of stems from Terra, which then spilled over to Celsius and Voyager, and then 3AC. Yeah. And it seems like Genesis, from what I was reading, was hit pretty badly by 3AC.
Yeah.
So there's another domino, and obviously, I think Alameda. Is it fair to say that Alameda and FTX did they take losses from 3AC, or was that more from Terra?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. Itself. I'm not sure about 3AC, but I mean. The thing that I do know is, like, you know, and again, still kind of being discovered because no one really knows what was going on.
Yeah.
But I think most of the people watching will know that that FTX and Alameda, especially Alameda, were really heavily involved in DeFi, right? They were really, you know, they were involved in all the curve finances and all the stuff. And I probably don't have to get into the, you know, STETH speculation with Celsius stuff.
Oh, man.
But yeah, and so it wouldn't surprise me at all, because you guys can see that all the liquidity in DeFi just like dried up after Terra collapsed, right?
Yeah.
And you know, it was a lot of liquidations, a lot of a lot of unwinding of stuff, and
yeah.
Anyway,
and a lot more contagion to come. Jimmy in the comments saying, seems like BitConnect all over again with more moving parts. Yeah. It's even got a kind of mad weird guy at the center of it all. Although,
yeah, I was gonna say with an even less likable person in the middle. Like at least from you know, I wasn't around in the BitConnect days, but oh, sorry, was it what did you say? BitConnect? Yeah, it was BitConnect. Yeah, okay. Yeah. I mean, like, because, you know, I think people could forgive that, you know, BitConnect dude, like, you know, BitConnect, like, yeah. Like people can forgive him, but I don't think anyone's ever gonna forgive Sam. You know. But,
yeah. I mean, well, I want to get on to SBF. I mean, I just want to get onto him, but yeah, because I mean, SBF has been sort of, this situation around him is just so bizarre, isn't it? So, as far as we know, he's in the Bahamas. There was this picture on Twitter earlier. I mean, has that been verified, of him just kind of mooching around a grocery store? Is that, you saw that, right?
Well, I mean, just to clarify for anyone who doesn't know, there was a photo, and of course, there's so much stuff on Twitter, and you don't know what's, you know, that's like the pros and cons of citizen journalism, is that you get like unfiltered information, but the problem is that not all of that information is good. But anyway, there's a photo. Apparently, there's a photo. Get this, guys, of Sam Bankman-Fried in a grocery store in the Bahamas that someone took, and they're like, what the hell is this guy doing here? Isn't he supposed to be on house arrest or something? But you know, that photo could have been taken in a previous time, and you know, no one really knows. Like, it's difficult to speculate, because as Dan says, you know, that photo could be from any time. So exactly. Yeah.
But I mean, what's been so strange is obviously these tweet threads that he's been putting out. I mean, it's like, can anyone tell me, does anyone have knowledge of how law enforcement in the Bahamas works? What does under supervision mean? Like, that to me suggests that there should be someone standing over him with like a billy club or something, or whatever they call it, and just saying, you just keep quiet and behave yourself. But I mean, it doesn't seem to mean that. Like, how is he able to tweet if he's under supervision? How is he able to speak to people at the New York Times?
How is Do Kwon able to go on Kobe's, you know, he's wanted by Interpol. How is he able to go on just a podcast, right? It's crazy. Like, it's, anyway, sorry, I interrupted you there.
No. I was saying, I think I said this last week in the live stream, but for me, I think maybe the defining moment of this whole bear market will be just like a screenshot of that Up Only episode. Kobe, Ledger, Do Kwon, Martin Shkreli.
Shkreli,
It's just when Shkreli appeared, and it was just like, what is going on? Is this the bottom? This feels like it must be the bottom. Absolutely crazy. Someone saying it means house arrest. I mean, house arrest? Like, surely, how does he get to tweet? How do you get to give interviews to the New York Times and to Vox? Have you read this Vox interview?
I haven't
by the
read
way?
the Vox one.
The Vox interview. Now, I lifted a few quotes out of the Vox interview because that is pretty extraordinary. So some of you may have seen this screenshots of this on Twitter. This guy basically interviewed him over Twitter. I think it was either yesterday evening or the night before. So let me just read a couple of these out. So this is one of the quotes from the Vox interview. When asked what he would have done differently, SBF said, "More careful accounting and off-board Alameda from FTX once FTX could live on its own." I mean, it's just like, again, talk about after the fact. It's like, why it's all very well saying these things now, but you had a responsibility as CEO of, both these firms.
Well, no, I think,
although Caroline was apparently running.
Yeah, I think, and that's the thing that's really unclear is that, and I think we mentioned this in the video as well about FTX, that it's not clear just how involved Sam was with Alameda still, right? Because it's weird, like his LinkedIn profile says that he stepped away in 2019, but then Forbes 30 under 30 from last year says that he's still CEO of Alameda. And then Carolyn and Sam Trabucco, who, what happened to that guy? What happened to all the other people that were like in Sam's shadow, right? That were also kind of involved. And they only became co-CEOs last summer. So, it's interesting. And then of course, Sam stepped down, and I guess Carolyn stayed for the action. Let's not go maybe into the into what was going on over there.
Yeah, we don't want to know. So a few people clarifying in the comments, supervision means kind of house arrest, it would seem, or not able to leave the country.
Until you realize that Sam owns like half the Bahamas now.
Yeah,
because they all traded the land for a stake in FTX in the exchange. And I want to ask, I don't know, because it's something that you and I, we noticed just before we went on live. Someone mentioned somewhere that Tom Brady, like this football player, that he had put his entire net worth into FTX shares. I don't believe that. It must be like a fake news or something. But if anyone knows this, please drop in the comments and confirm. Not that it's like a strong confirmation, but anyway, sorry, guy, I keep interrupting you here.
Yeah, no. I'm just enjoying some of the comments on here. Yeah, someone Red X pointing out Kevin O'Leary wants to give SBF a chance, and he thinks he has a good heart. So surely they're all good. What was that about?
Yeah,
extraordinary. It's just such a bizarre situation, and we don't really know for sure what is going on. Another quote from this interview that he gave with Vox. Do check that out, folks. I think that's relatively new online. This Vox interview with SBF. The grief. This is from the author themselves speaking. The grief and pain he has caused is immense, and I came away from our conversation appalled by much of what he said. But if these mistakes haunted him, he largely didn't show it.
Or he was on drugs,
or he had too much Adderall and wasn't thinking straight. It's just I think the whole crypto community right now, we need to see pictures of him in a jumpsuit. We need to know that he is going to be held to account in some way. There's talk of him being having to appear before, is it the House Committee on Financial Services next month? Like, that seems very kind of presumptuous. I mean, like arrest the guy first. What?
Yeah, like he should be appearing in front of a judge, not in front of the politicians that he paid, right? It's a little bit, welcome to the world as it always has been, I suppose. Yeah.
Hi, Sam. Welcome back. Good to see you. Anything we can do?
Yeah.
It's a crazy situation. Okay, so what else are we going to talk about today? We've touched on everything happening with Solana, and as I say, keep a lookout for that video a little later on. We've touched on these difficulties, this delisting of Solana stablecoins by various exchanges. That is something to keep an eye on, folks. Obviously, we also have this contagion from FTX spreading. So BlockFi is planning bankruptcy, withdrawals paused, as I understand it then. I mean, BlockFi kind of had this stay of execution earlier this year from none other than SBF. And yeah, it's been, what a ride it's been for BlockFi customers. You've got to yeah, those guys have had a long old year. And again, I can't get over the weirdness, the uncertainty around what exactly is happening with SBF and why someone hasn't flown over there and arrested him, dragged him back to the US to answer some questions, because there are just so many questions that he has to answer, and I just don't think it's right that he should be tweeting out, he should be having this mouthpiece, which to me, I don't know about you, Dan, this to me, it kind of seems like he's almost sort of taunting FTX depositors, FTX customers. He's saying all this stuff about making them whole, about, that's his priority. He's also talking about raising more money.
Yeah. But I honestly think that Sam is, three things about Sam. One is that I guarantee he's sleep deprived. I don't believe he's getting any sleep. And if he is, it's just because he hasn't slept in a week. I'm not giving excuses for the guy, by the way. I'm just saying, why is Sam acting so insane? I think he hasn't slept. He's probably on a lot of drugs. And the third thing too, and I think the reason why potentially he might even be walking around the Bahamas or whatever, or in Argentina, there's still that rumor there. but I think that it's because Sam has information. That's what everyone's forgetting, is that Sam has information. He has information on all the exchanges. Alameda probably has more information about Tether than any other company besides Tether. Just let that sink in. So because Alameda was the largest recipient of all the USDT ever printed. There was 100. Well, that was true as of the end of last year, but I don't know if it's different now. But anyway, if it's true that Sam was involved with political stuff, which I almost, it seems pretty clear that he was to some extent. He was a donor at the very least. But chances are that he also has dirt on politicians and companies and whatever else, because everyone was sucked into that bubble, right? So, Sam must be one of the few people. I mean, I don't want to start talking about Epstein or anything, but but Sam seems to be one of on that level of person that just has connections to all these he was on he was with Bill Clinton or whatever, right? On stage.
Bill Clinton and Tony Blair.
Yeah. So obviously this guy knows people. He's super connected. And he definitely has information on all of some sort of information on all of them, and all the big companies in crypto, and probably most of the crypto projects. Just everything, he probably has more information than again, there's probably a small group of these Epsteins, and he's kind of in that echelon now, maybe in more ways than one. But let's not.
It seems like he's this kind of spider at the center of a very big web.
Yeah.
And you've got politicians kind of up in one section of it. You've got people in crypto projects down in another, and it's just if you're gonna rip the center out of this web, the whole thing is gonna kind of fall in on itself. So I guess there's a lot of perhaps concern amongst these people who are invested in SBF in some way or another.
Yeah.
If he is dragged in front of in front of a judge, or in front of a House committee or whoever, what's he going to say? What information does he have? I guess it seems to me that there's a lot of people worried about what exactly he knows and what he might talk about. So I don't know, folks. This is a story that, this is going to run through the rest of 2022. It's going to, I think, go deep into 2023. There's so much, and I want to talk to you, Dan. I know we were talking about this over dinner the other night. 2023, and obviously lots of people asking in this stream and in previous streams when things might get better, when the crypto market might pick up, when this bear market might finally come to an end. And as you know, I've been saying kind of early 2024, really at the earliest for that. I don't see it happening. And I think, Dan, you kind of agree with me on that one. Is that right?
Yeah, I think we're roughly on the same timeline. But and Guy, you brought up, I think, we can start the first kind of catalyst that could, not necessarily that we would enter back into a bull market. I think that really depends on the macro factors, right? Because it's driving so much.
Yeah.
But there is one crypto factor that you mentioned to me just before we went live, and I was like, damn, that's something I completely overlooked, and that's Ripple versus the SEC. So what I think you've been keeping a closer eye on that than I have, and I've seen lots of people asking about XRP in the comments. Well, there were, I don't know where they've gone now. Maybe
they're always asking about XRP. Everyone always wants to know about XRP in the comments, guys. It's one of these things. It just drags on and on and on, doesn't it? Obviously, the SEC, I think, is the important entity here at the moment, because that has come in for so much scrutiny because of this FTX thing. Now, I think I don't know if you agree with me this, Dan, and I'd be interested, guys, to hear what you thought in the comments as well about this. Like, I know the SEC is very much culpable here to an extent, because they are the ones who have failed to provide any sort of regulatory clarity. They are the ones who've been, regulating by enforcement, going after projects, kind of in what seems to be a fairly kind of scattergun approach. But I think we need to be a little wary at this stage of saying, of pumping all the blame over to the SEC. Like, the blame, I think, lies with SBF and whoever else at Alameda and FTX knew what was going on. So I think the SEC has to be held account for this. But I think that is something, I don't know, I feel that should be a little down the line. I think the big fish, the SBFs of this world, and they are the ones who need to be, I think, blamed initially. Is that fair?
Yeah. I mean, it's I think the only other thought I would add to that is that it's interesting to think how all these regulators have kind of shaped, because the SEC has just been doing like this regulation by enforcement thing, right? And the question is, what behaviors have you kind of inspired? It's like, how's the crypto industry reacting to that in a way that's potentially negative? Does that kind of make any sense? Where it's like, the SEC comes down hard on Ripple, and then all of a sudden it creates a whole bunch of behaviors that might not, some of which are probably good, but not all, but some of which might actually be really bad, where, people start doing things, if they know that the SEC is going to go after, if they're doing something nefarious, let's say, and before it was actually easy to spot because they were doing it in like a way that was pretty open, then the SEC is able to see that. And then so the nefariousness goes like one level lower, where to the point where not even the crypto community can like sniff it out, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Where it's kind of, because I think a great example, and I don't want to, ramble on too much here, but a great example is, when Bitcoin first began, there weren't, these like elaborate blockchain explorers or blockchain analytics companies and whatever. So at the very beginning, you were able to kind of like get away with, probably many things, but over time, so I think it's like a similar situation now, where it's just like, with a lot of these companies doing nefarious things, that at the beginning there wasn't really much like spotlight on there. And that meant that, if you had, and that kind of meant that it wasn't that hard to kind of like find out if you kind of knew how to do it. But now it's like, everything is so secretive, because like the moment the regulators enter that level, then they go even, one level deeper. The moment that the blockchain explorers were made, now it's even more difficult. I mean, to some extent, basically, that you have to go one level lower, that like, once upon a time, everything was a lot of shady stuff was happening on the blockchain. Now they move it. I'm not saying that exchanges are, up to anything nefarious, but even the blockchain analytics companies have admitted that exchanges are a black box. So where do you think most of the criminal activity has gone? Because everything's open on the blockchain now.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm sorry. I hope that makes sense to the people in the comments. But
I warned you guys. You've got to pay very close attention when Dan's talking.
Yeah,
he
sorry.
He talks fast. Yeah. So going back to Ripple SEC, like I think we were speculating as well. I was speculating on previous streams that the library case could have a big impact on the SEC's case, because obviously that would give the SEC's case against Ripple, that would a victory in the library case would appear to give the SEC some sort of precedent to go after Ripple with. I mean, it doesn't seem to have played out that way, and I don't know whether that is just because kind of our gaze has been elsewhere over the last week or so, because I think Library announced that they lost pretty much on the same day that FTX kind of went down. So
it was within
that bad news kind of got a little bit ignored, I think. So at the moment, it doesn't seem like Ripple's case against the SEC has been damaged by that library verdict. Again, this is something we're going to have to watch as well. And I think obviously there is scrutiny of the SEC because of everything that's happened with FTX. They have, although I don't think they are the number one guys to blame at this stage, they have been very much asleep at the wheel, going after Ripple, and all the while, there's this huge fraud happening. Okay, it's not in their jurisdiction, but it's something that you'd think they should at least be aware of, given the resources that they've got, and given the fact that they've been actively lobbying for more and more money to specifically go after the crypto industry in recent months. So yeah, I think the SEC has a lot of questions to answer, and I don't know. I'm bullish on Ripple's case. I think there was talk of a judgment around Christmas time, wasn't it? Around December.
Yeah. Initially, I mean, but I think and I'll have to agree with you on that one, Guy, just because, well, there's two ways to read it, right? Because you have Coinbase and all these organizations coming out throwing their weight behind Ripple, and that can mean one of two things. It either means that they know that they know Ripple's going to win, so they're just going to like trying to accelerate the process, or they can see that Ripple might actually lose, and they realize it's going to be a really bad precedent. So everyone's like, we better make sure that doesn't happen. So Coinbase, everyone throwing their weight behind it. So I don't know, pick your poison. I guess it depends on if you're pro or against XRP.
Yeah.
If you're pro XRP, then of course it's the best news in the world. But I think it's important to try and have that balanced view.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is good, like whether you are pro or against XRP and Ripple, it is really cheering to see like the crypto industry kind of rallying, to their side. I think, that
definitely.
Because again, if 2022 has taught us anything, it's like, as an industry, we need to stick together. We need to fight on the same side because we have a common enemy. And I think we need to go, we need to look at it as the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So even if crypto projects, whether they be coins, tokens, exchanges, whatever else, even if they are in competition, I think it's really important for them, and it's really good to see so many of them coming together against what is a much bigger enemy, which is, the ignorance of US regulators, their failure to address crypto properly. So it's whether you're a fan of XRP or not, I think it's great to see kind of people rallying to its flag. I just think 2023 is going to be a big year for Ripple.
I think could very well be, and that's one of the catalysts then potentially that could take the, not that it would take us into a bull market, but something that would kind of put a bottom, finally put a bottom in the bear market where people will be like, okay, like this is actually good news. We have a good precedent here that can protect all the altcoins, and I think that'll be a net positive basically for the crypto industry.
So this is something now, guys, this is something Dan and I were talking about the other night at dinner. So Dan has a few reasons to be cheerful, a few things that you're feeling pretty positive about for 2023. Is that right? Okay.
So I guess I'll preface that with it's probably going to get worse before it gets better, and I know we've seen a few comments there, people asking about crypto mining. So that's one thing to keep in mind, something that I've been like really ragging on like mentioning over and over that just really annoys me. So I don't know if you guys watched our video about like bear market lows where historically Bitcoin's hash rate will fall by 40 or 50%. Some would make the argument that maybe happened like last year with like China's crypto mining ban. But I would argue that we have yet to see that happen kind of like in this cycle. And the question then is, what is the catalyst that would cause Bitcoin's hash rate to finally fall that 40 or 50% that's required, for the bear market lows to be in? And of course, the energy crisis is a perfect candidate, right? And the Canadian province of Quebec and the European Union have both said that they want to stop crypto mining over the winter, basically. So if that happens, then I guarantee you will see like at least a 30%, maybe 40% drop in hash rate, especially if there's also scrutiny in the United States, which is possible. Bear in mind that most of the crypto mining happens in Texas, and Texas has seen like a huge inflow of immigration because of the restrictions and whatever. So, and I think they were even struggling with energy and what have you. I think it was last summer, or maybe it was even this summer. I don't remember. But anyway, but we could see some, there could be some stresses and strains there. And then so that's kind of the mining situation. And then in terms of the stuff for next year, and it's really sad because everyone's kind of focused on FTX and whatever, and it's hard to pay attention to crypto when the prices are down, right? And if you guys are watching this, then you're one of the few. Keep in mind that you're one of the few that that have made it through. But anyway, so there's I guess two really main things, at least in my opinion. One is something that we're going to be covering in an upcoming video, is that Saudi Arabia the central bank hired someone to basically write like their crypto policy. And so I think that's something that could potentially emerge early next year. This Mohammed bin Salman guy, can't say I know too much about him, but what I do know is that apparently he's been really like progressive, let's say, on the policies and relative to the conservatism of the region. So it might actually be under his kind of guidance that they're opening their doors kind of crypto. Binance already has boots on the ground, so it's not just like a meme. Like Binance is already setting up stuff there. And then second, so that could happen sometime early next year. And the second thing to keep in mind is that Hong Kong also recently announced that it will be opening its doors to retail crypto investing, and that will be starting in March next year. And people just don't seem to make the connection that, like Hong Kong was like kind of, I think it was even just like a couple of years ago, or like, one or two during the pandemic, that China kind of like reclaimed Hong Kong.
Yeah.
And everyone just kind of like, pretended that it didn't happen, but it totally did. And the silver lining, I guess, in that case is that if Hong Kong is legalizing retail crypto investing, then there might be a way for basically all this money that's been stuck in China, that people have been trying to find a way to invest legally, like into crypto. A lot of that money could find its way back into the crypto market via Hong Kong. And I think that's likely to happen, especially since, as China's rolling out their digital yuan, people are going to want ways to protect their wealth, and that's going to increase, I think, the demand for crypto, not just in China but everywhere else. And it's not going to happen at first, right? At first, a lot of people are going to think that it's good. But then once all these papers come out about CBDCs and everything that they can do, and people go to the grocery store or to the gas station, and it says that you've used too much gas, and they're going to be like, I need to put my money into something else here.
Yeah.
But that's going to take some time anyway. I'm going a little bit, yeah.
No,
What do you think, Guy? Like, what do you think is going to happen next year? You have any I guess hot takes or?
Well, I mean, I guess, yeah, it's interesting what you say, because especially about kind of this region as well, the Middle East region, because being out and about in Dubai, talking to crypto people here, there is a lot of talk about how not only how keen they are here in the UAE, but also how keen the Saudis are on it as well. And obviously there's this kind of younger generation of Saudis, obviously, generally, as you say, a very conservative place, but a younger generation of Saudis who are really, really into it. And I know the kind of the idea of the Saudis kind of backing up the truck has become, a bit of a meme. And, you've got to be careful. You've got to be careful with the kind of hopium aspect of it all. But I think there, certainly anecdotally, I am hearing that there is a huge amount of interest across the Middle East region, and obviously from the Saudis in particular. And they seem to be, making a lot of noises about crypto regulation, and a lot of noises just about, crypto in general, which I think is, potentially very bullish. And if we see that next year, obviously, as soon as these lows come in, now it's going to be difficult to time the bottom. But I mean, I think a lot of people are targeting that kind of that BTC price range between about 10 and 14K.
Yeah.
And I think there will be a lot of buying if we see those sorts of levels. I think, I find it hard to imagine how, a lot of institutions and a lot of retail as well will be able to resist those sorts of levels.
Yeah.
That, of course, is assuming that kind of confidence in crypto, the sentiment in the crypto market hasn't completely bottomed out by then, because I definitely got the sense last week when the FTX thing was happening and the sheer scale of it was dawning on us. I definitely got a sense that crypto sentiment was just so low. You had crypto OGs on Twitter, just the depths of despair.
Yeah.
And that does seem to have lifted to an extent, as you might expect, even though we're still, the contagion really, I think, has only just begun.
Yeah, unfortunately.
So sentiment seems to have picked up a little bit, although I have noticed like a lot of crypto OGs just seem to have gone very, very quiet. And, crypto Twitter, at times like this, can feel like a bit of a ghost town.
Yeah.
At times.
Sorry, I was going to say, what I think is happening a lot now is that I had a feeling, especially going into, I think around like May last year, when we had that big crash, and especially when we learned about this Wyckoff method, which I can't remember the name of the guy who do you remember the name of this YouTuber who made the viral video about, it's going to be hard to find. I can't remember that guy's name, but whoever that is, like, credits to that guy for kind of pointing out that there was institutional market manipulation in the crypto, in Bitcoin's price rather. And when I kind of saw that, I had this gut feeling that, all this, Plan B, what's the stock to flow model.
Yeah.
I had a feeling that every single one of these indicators, every single one of these models would be invalidated, and that's exactly what's happened. And I got that sense, the moment that this guy pointed out the Wyckoff pattern. So I think what's happening, sorry, you're saying that, like, all these, a lot of OGs are kind of silent on Twitter. I think it's because a lot of them were expecting that Bitcoin wouldn't fall below 20K. and there, before, because there is a case to be made that it hasn't fallen below the previous highs, right?
Yeah.
But what people forget is that at least in my opinion, I think that that institutional market manipulation happened around the time of the CME futures was introduced.
Yeah.
So this is you have to bear that in mind, that every cycle is a little bit different. The psychology of the cycle, like that Wall Street cheat sheet, that's all the same, but the shape of it is always just a little bit different. The length and the height and whatever else.
Yeah.
But I think that's basically what it is. That all these OGs that have been around for so long, and they're so used to thinking in a certain way, whereas we just had a bull market that was driven, very heavily, I would say, because only institutions have that amount of money. It's not regular people. So we were just in a really institution-driven bull market, and now we're seeing that deflate. And everyone's just like, they still have that retail mentality, especially the ones who have been around in crypto for a long time. That's my personal opinion. But anyway, sorry to.
No. I'm just enjoying reading some of these comments. I've realised that I can post some, I can pull some up as well and put them on the screen. But I'll do that in a minute. So I think there's a lot. Obviously, there's a lot to come. There's a lot to look forward to, I think. And look, a lot of these things that you talked about, I think there's a good chance that we could see those emerge in 2023. I think it's still important to keep like a realistic time frame, folks, because once we do see those bottoms, once we do see those lows, it's still going to be a really long way up, and it's going to be a hard climb, I think, back up. We're targeting sort of early 2024. April 2024 is when the next halving is. Now, as roundabout then, as some people have pointed out, sometimes, bear market conditions kind of kick in advance of that, kick in anticipation of the halving.
You mean bull market? I think.
Bull market, sorry. I usually get them the right way around.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think early 2024 is still the time frame that I'm looking at. But obviously, we need to lift off that bottom first, and yeah, I think 2023, perhaps the second half, is when we could start to see that climb really kind of begin in earnest. And obviously, that is going to be the time to be really paying attention, folks. I mean, I'm hoping that you're all sort of paying attention now. I mean, you're here, aren't you? You're giving up part of your Thursday to hang out with us today. But I think 2023 is going to be a big year for so many reasons. And the thing to watch out for, obviously, is those real lows, and to keep the faith through that time. And then we need to be looking at that slow creep up. But bear in mind, folks, the bull market isn't going to appear overnight. We're not going to wake up one day and be back in happy land. It's going to be a slog to get there.
And the good news is, at least in my opinion, that you're going to have a lot of time to kind of accumulate the any promising altcoins you think are out there. But I will caution, as everyone thinks that the FTX thing, like, you have to remember that we still have, the stock market still has to have its FTX moment, and I still think that something like that is coming. Either later this year, early next year, probably later this year, having to do with energy related stuff. I don't know what, but just you'll kind of know when we're near the low, when it feels like this is for sure 100% the end. And this FTX thing was bad, but it was just kind of like a Terra 2.0. It was like the sequel.
Yeah.
So it's like the people who are still here I think are still kind of like, yeah, it was a definitely devastating blow. Yeah, and we got hit, and I almost got hit personally. Was very lucky that some dude on LinkedIn basically spotted something that better get your stuff off FTX, and I just did it literally like within 24 hours before, and it just happens to be that on LinkedIn some dude posted something.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, I think we're gonna have that low moment, and you'll know when it's in, because we will literally think it's the end of crypto. I don't think we're at that point yet. It sounds crazy, but I don't think we're there yet. People are literally going to be like, this is over, everything is done. And that's probably when you should start looking at the charts and thinking, is this based on historical trends where the low could potentially be? And chances are the answer will be yes. But that's my, not financial advice.
Not financial advice. A good comment here from Josh Clements. Curious how the Bitcoin halving will affect price in a time of rising interest rates. We just went through a decade of historically low rates. That is a very good point. Because this is the first time that crypto is going to have existed in a high rates environment. And let's face it, I don't know about you, Dan, but I don't see the Fed easing off on those interest rate hikes for a while yet. I think we've got another one coming next month, and there's going to be, and Jerome himself has said, Jerome himself has said at press conferences, and I think he alluded to it at Jackson Hole as well, didn't he, that the Fed are prepared not just to raise interest rates, but to keep them there.
Yep.
It's one thing to actually slow the rates of increase, but actually interest rates coming down, that is, they're going to have to stay at a level for a time, because obviously, again, as Jerome has intimated, like, the last thing the Fed wants is to raise rates, see inflation come down, drop rates, and see inflation go back up again. They're going to have to really, really crush it. Do you think? I mean, can you see at the kind of highs we've got at the moment? Do you think it's possible that the Fed really can get it down to that kind of 2% level?
No. So I think this is something I don't think I spoke with this with you, but maybe it was with someone else on the Coin Bureau team. That there's lots of chatter now, and what I strongly recommend everyone do is, when you have time, start listening to some macro podcasts, because a lot of what's happening in macro is affecting crypto right now. Of course, we're very much in a crypto specific kind of event, and you can tell because all the crypto channels are getting hundreds of thousands of views, including us. And when that's happening, that it's something that's really specific to crypto. But anyway, what I think is going to happen, and just because it's something I've heard from these macro experts, is that inflation will start to come down. Because the interest rates is just one part of the equation, right? You say, how is Bitcoin going to react in an environment of higher interest rates? But you also have to remember that the inflation is also, it's not just the interest rates aren't just there in isolation. It's also inflation.
Yeah.
And there's, if inflation is running high, which I don't think is going to happen, but let's just say inflation is above interest rates for a really long time, then because the Fed, can't keep raising for whatever reason, and inflation is still really high, then that kind of creates a bullish case, for gold and and potentially even Bitcoin, for all these, assets that are meant to preserve your purchasing power. So that's kind of like one scenario. But the more likely scenario that I see is that inflation will start to come down, but then it'll be like around 3 or 4%. It'll get stuck there, and the Fed will have to decide, do we keep hiking into this, or do we just accept that inflation is going to be higher? And then the question becomes, how does that change the investment landscape if inflation is now running twice as hot? They just accept that it's going to run twice as hot as it used to for the next decade or whatever. Then what is that going to do to assets like gold, like Bitcoin, whatever? I think it's going to make them much more attractive. But that's just my, that's just what I'm seeing. And it's not even what I'm seeing, it's what I've heard from macro podcasts, because, from people who are much smarter than myself.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah, it's a good question, and this idea of crypto existing in a high rates environment, and it's going to be fascinating to watch it play out over time. I'm getting really into this idea that I can pull up comments on the screen. Which shall I pull up? Why don't we pull up this one, because this is a question I want to answer. This is Samuel Barbosa. Will you stop shilling for crypto companies because of FTX, guy? Okay, so let me clear something up for you guys. Now, as you'll notice, we don't run ads on our YouTube channel. We don't run them on Coin Bureau clips, and we don't run them on our main YouTube channel either. So here at Coin Bureau, we have to keep the lights on, like anyone doing this. We can't, unfortunately, bring you this content for nothing. So we don't show you ads. We don't do sponsored content. We don't do token promotions. So we have to think of a way that we can monetize the channel so that we can keep bringing you this sort of content at no cost to your good selves. And the way that we do that is through affiliate links. And yes, cards on the table, FTX was an affiliate of ours. And we were as shocked and saddened by what happened with FTX. And look, folks, if we had any inkling that all was not kosher there, then we would not have kept that affiliate deal going. And you might say, well, okay, you guys perhaps should have been aware of that. And I mean, I wish we had been. But the fact is that we weren't the only ones caught out by what happened with FTX. So okay, Samuel, it's a fair question. I don't consider that we shill for crypto companies here. We have our affiliate deals, and that is how we bring you this content that you are able to watch for nothing. Okay, did I sound a bit cross there?
Yeah,
Anyway.
I mean, I think we're all just still. it does feel like it, because again, I think that, and I'm sure that many of the people watching can understand, is that that we get. I'm pretty sure that almost every single crypto company and crypto project has reached out to us at some point, asking us if we want to shill, if we're going to do X and Y or whatever. And of course, since the beginning, like the thing that kind of has separated the Coin Bureau. This is something we try not to talk about too often. Just not to throw shade at like any other crypto YouTubers out there, but like if we were to ever even just once to shill anything, then it would do irreparable damage to the brand, and to the channel, and just to the credibility, right? So and this is something, unfortunately, that not going to name names again, that is not really well understood in the crypto influencer space. I guarantee that the Coin Bureau would be probably 10 or even more multiples wealthier and larger if we had taken that quick and easy route. But then we would have one cycle, and then we'd be old news, which is what has happened to many previous crypto influencers, and what's going to happen to many of them this time around. Again, not trying to throw too much shade here, but yeah, like, and again, like Guy, you were saying, and I think this is something that still people that need to. I know it's hard for many people to kind of understand, like even how affiliate marketing works, where it's literally just like. And again, we believed FTX to be a really good company. We only work with companies that we personally use. Like we're all on FTX. I was using FTX. I almost got burnt. I was so close to getting burned. I'm trying to think of the one where I did get hit. But anyway, so what literally just to explain to anyone who doesn't know, like the affiliate marketing is super straightforward. Literally, it's just like we use our link to sign up. Let's say use our link to sign up to an exchange. You get a trading fee discount. It's like we get. I don't honestly know the details because it's not my department. But you get a trading fee discount. We get a portion, kind of like of the trading fees, like that you generate.
That you do pay.
And the crypto exchange gets a new user. And assuming the exchange is good, which thankfully there are still some good exchanges out there, then it's a win-win-win, right? Because we get kind of like some income, which unfortunately also fluctuates with the crypto market. The exchange gets a new user, and the user gets a discount, and everyone's happy. And every single video, and this is something I'm glad that many people have noticed in the in the comments about the FTX situation, is that we always told people, you never keep your crypto on your exchange. We have always said that. Every single, I can't think of a single video that we did where we didn't say, like, it doesn't matter how good the exchange is. It could be a freaking Elon Musk, well, maybe not Elon Musk exchanges, maybe something a little bit,
I don't think the world's ready for that.
Yeah, but literally, it's like, it doesn't matter. It could be the best, most trustworthy, most audited. It could be at the Federal Reserve. It could be the crypto exchange of the Federal Reserve, in 10 years time. But it doesn't matter, because if there's a third party, that crypto is never ever 100% safe, and that's why you always have to keep it on your personal wallet. And we've always said that every single time. And yes, we also have affiliate links for personal wallets. And it's a win-win-win, because you get a discount, we get a little bit, and you get a great you get a great hardware wallet. Anyway, sorry.
There we are, folks. Yeah, that is how we keep the lights on. That's how we bring you ad-free content, and that's how we bring you content that's objective as well. Because Dan is right. We've had, I don't know how many people, we still do. We still have people reaching out to us and asking how much for a review. How much do you charge? How do we get on? And the answer, well, we don't reply. We don't reply to them because
you don't even know
clearly they don't watch the channel. So there we are, folks. Yeah, I'm as shocked and saddened by anyone else that what happened with FTX, and I'm very sorry to see people losing money on it. And but I'm not going to apologize for the way that we do business here, that we keep the lights on, because this is the way that we found in the past is the best way to bring you guys the content that I hope you enjoy. Now, actually, I want to. Goodness me, we've overrun the time. So I wanted to end with a little bit of good news, folks, because I know there's lots of bad news out of there. But one thing I have noticed over, and you might have seen in the crypto news over the last few days, is that sales of hardware wallets are going absolutely through the roof, which is great to see. So, look, I know that a lot of people have lost money in this, in this disaster and in previous ones as well. But every person buying a hardware wallet, that is good news, folks. So if you're sitting there, if you're watching this stream, if you're watching on TikTok, if you're watching on Clips, if you're keeping your money on an exchange, folks, and that is any exchange at all, stop watching. go away. The stream's about to finish anyway. Go and get yourself a hardware wallet. Go to the official site provider. Don't do it on Amazon. Don't do it on eBay. Go to the official wallet provider site. We have videos on our main channel about the best hardware wallets out there. Go on, have a look at one of those, make a decision which one you want, and go and buy it direct from the manufacturer. There are lots of tips in those videos about buying hardware wallets as well. A lot of people have said to me in the past, that they're kind of hardware. What they find the concept of a hardware wallet intimidating. They say to me, Guy, are they really difficult to use? I'm worrying about setting it up on my computer. I know for a fact that hardware wallet developers have spent fortunes on user interface, on the user experience. These things are not difficult to use, folks, and they are not expensive either. It could very well be the best investment you ever make. So please do that, folks. Please, if you haven't bought a hardware wallet and moved your crypto onto it, then please go and do that. Dan, am I foaming at the mouth yet?
No.
No. Okay. Okay. Someone, fan man, we went to the Bitcoin conference in Edinburgh, and I have the picks you wanted, full of Bitcoin maxis, not so good. Also, you said that Solana had dumped Arweave. Solana says that's not true. Ian in Scotland. Oh yes, Ian was the chap. I think, was it you, Ian, who very kindly offered me the ticket to the Bitcoin conference in Edinburgh? Solana says that's not true, but Solana moved all their blockchain data over to Bigtable.
Yeah, exactly. So I think what Ian's talking about here, I guess it depends on who you're speaking with at Solana, because if I'm not mistaken, Arweave still does provide storage for some NFT marketplaces on Solana, even though they don't store the full blockchain history anymore. So that's kind of the main thing when we say that that Solana dumped Arweave, is that they stopped using Solana to store its long-term, the historical blockchain, because I think the validators only keep 24 hours or 48 hours on Solana, and then the rest is now stored on Google Bigtable. And the good news is that, you'll see in our Solana update that Coinbase is now also storing Solana's transaction history, so it makes it ever so slightly more decentralized.
Yeah.
And then sorry, what else was Ian saying there? Was it just about the Solana? Okay. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
maybe
and the Bitcoin conference in Edinburgh, which sounded like it was good fun. Saying there were a lot of Bitcoin maxis there.
What were you expecting?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's
Bitcoin maxis are, for the most part, great. You do get some pretty strident ones, but they're all good people underneath, folks. They're all good people.
And I just to close off with one more quick thought, I guess, on the maxis. I think to any maxis watching, bear in mind that I think altcoins are a net benefit for Bitcoin, because what happens is people go into altcoins trying to get rich quick, they get wrecked, and then they kind of realize, not all of them, but statistically more than 50% of them realize that, there's actually something to crypto, and they end up going into Bitcoin. So, and I do think that was, maybe intentionally as part of the design. Having Bitcoin open source means that you get a bunch of copycats. People come in trying to get rich quick. They realize that Bitcoin is the only, one of the only basically good things in there, and they go into Bitcoin, and that benefits Bitcoin at the end of the day. So, consider that flow.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And of course, there are so many terrible altcoins out there that they make Bitcoin look good by association. That's a very cynical view, isn't it? I'm sorry, guys. It's been a long day. Anyhow, my great thanks to Dan Krupka, our head of research here at Coin Bureau, for joining us today. I know he speaks very quickly, but it's all good. It's all good. You just gotta tune in.
I can't help but notice, it's funny. One comment would say he speaks too fast. The other comment he says he's like. So one comment is this guy's too fast. The next one is rap god, because I'm just going, yeah.
And all the others are just oh, thank God it's not just guys sort of droning on as usual.
No.
But folks, this has been great. Thank you all for joining us today. Please let us know some feedback. I should have asked for this during the stream, but obviously those of you watching on clips, are you enjoying the new kind of streaming format with all this fancy software? And obviously letting me share my screen and all that sort of stuff. TikTok, I hope you guys don't feel too left out that you're not able to see my screen. I did ask the tech people here if it was possible, and they sort of looked at me with a very sort of baffled look. But I will try and find a way to enhance your TikTok experience in the future as well. Sounds dodgy, doesn't it? Anyhow, Dan, thanks so much for joining us today, man. Put it there. It's been great to have him here, and yeah. This is where so much of that good alpha comes from. No one digs deeper than Dan.
I'm sure there's a couple, but yeah.
They're not. They don't work for Coin Bureau.
No,
so
no.
there we are. Thanks very much for joining us, folks. It's been great. Have a lovely weekend. It's almost the weekend. We're almost there. See you soon.
Take care.
Okay.